And hello, and good afternoon to you, fellow Watford supporters, wherever you may be across the world. Yours truly, Omar, here on another edition of the You ORNS Watford FC post-match. Watford 0, Blackburn 1, the final score of this one. Valérien Ismaël, a happy homecoming for him as former Watford manager. And for Sir Elton John today, not a happy homecoming, as the Golden Boys wearing those blue shirts definitely could be singing a case of, I guess that's why they call it the Blues, because it was that kind of a match today for your Golden Boys at the Vic in front of Sir Elton John and wearing those blue kits that mark the 50-year association that Elton has with the club. It was not a good day for your Golden Boys. A very poor Watford performance for me, very tepid. The problem for Watford today is that they were waiting for something to happen, and the something that happened was Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn Rovers were the team that were the aggressor, the team that came in with low confidence, and Watford made them more confident by allowing them to hang around in the game, dictate the game, put more pressure on the Watford goal, and then Watford tried to react to that. The subs tried to react, but by then it was already too late. The tempo of this game was entirely controlled by a team that had lost 3 of its first 4 games of this championship season. You cannot, by any chance, under any circumstances, allow a team that had no confidence with 3 losses on the season, you cannot allow that team to now dictate terms. And the longer Watford allowed Blackburn to hang about, stick around, the more confident Blackburn became and the more controlling Blackburn were of this game. And they never looked back. That goal came in early in the second half. We again have a penchant for giving up either very early goals or very late goals in a match. And it happened again. We've done that in every game this season, either early in the game, early in the second half, late in the first half, late in the second half. We've given away goals. It happened again out of nothing. And boom, Blackburn Rovers taking a chance. And look, they deserve to win the game. I don't care what you say as a Watford supporter, and I've been a lifelong Watford supporter, have been forever. There's no doubt that Blackburn deserved this win. They had more chances on goal. They should have scored in the first half. They hit the crossbar. They should have scored another couple of goals in that first half. And they should have scored more goals in the second. They should have scored in the second half after the goal that they scored in the second half to take the lead. Watford just did not come to grips with this game. I'm not even going to blame the international break. Why? Because Blackburn were on an international break as well. So I don't want to hear that. You know, Blackburn, I'm sure, have 1 or 2 players who play international football. I'm not going to have it that it was the international break. I'm not even going to have it that there were 5 changes made by the manager. You can't tell me that that's the reason Watford lost this game. The reason Watford lost this game, even with the changes, is because the team just didn't turn up. No shows. You can't have a game like this at Vicarage Road. I don't care what time of the season it is, and you just don't even put a dent on that Blackburn goalkeeper. And the one chance that Watford had was in the first half. Doumbia cleaned through, really an open goal. And what did he do? Put it wide. Just not good enough from us today. I'm going to read out your comments on YouTube. If you are on X, you are more than welcome to hit that request button. I will put you through, and then we can all hear what you have to say about Watford and Blackburn today. I thought Watford were going to win this game before this game began, and on the You ORNS post-match final Friday focus, pardon me, yesterday I had Watford winning this game 2-1. But bottom line is that just didn't happen. They were nowhere near scoring a goal, let alone 2, and we've not kept a clean sheet in these first 5 games. I think there were maybe 1 or 2 players who I thought were decent today. I thought Kevin had a good game. Obviously, the ball went past him. He wasn't covered. He didn't have any cover at the back of him. Could I blame Kevin for the goal? I don't know. But let me read out your comments on YouTube. Again, if you are on X, welcome to this edition of the You ORNS Watford FC post-match. You are more than welcome to have a say. Chime in, please. Would love to hear from you on X. I'm going to read out your comments now on YouTube. Brown Electrons, hello there, Brown, on YouTube. He says, I don't usually get this down on Watford, but today was awful. Brown, I don't argue with you there because you're absolutely right. I agree. Watford just did not put in a shift today, did not do enough today, didn't trouble that Blackburn goalkeeper. That Blackburn goalkeeper had no saves to make. I think Watford maybe had one shot on target the entire game, maybe two shots on target. The goalkeeper actually, I don't remember goalkeeper having any saves to make at all. Not one. That's inexcusable. Inexcusable. I don't care whether Sir Elton John's there or not. Listen, there's no one can blame the international break because Brighton, listen to me. Blackburn were on the same international break Watford were on. Blackburn were the ones that had to travel. Okay, so if you want to use the excuse that it was an international break, Blackburn still had to travel from Lancashire down here to Hertfordshire, right? What's that? 2.5 hours by train? They probably flew in, right? Which would have probably taken them about 55 minutes or less to fly from Lancashire down to Gatwick or Heathrow or Luton Airport or wherever they fly into. So if they took a plane, it was less than an hour on that plane. I'm sure, barely an hour. I'm sorry, they still have to travel here after the international break. So no excuses. The goal that they scored was, pretty routine. The bottom line is we just didn't do enough. I'm sorry. You don't put a glove on that goalkeeper. That's been our Achilles heel for a long time. Just not keeping the opposing goalkeeper busy enough. We're not making him earn his wages. And we didn't make him earn his wages today. That goalkeeper didn't have to break a sweat today for Blackburn. And Val Ishmael, who was sacked as the Watford manager just over a year and a half ago, about a year and a half ago now, March of 2024, absolutely has a very satisfying afternoon as the Blackburn head coach. Absolutely satisfying against a Blackburn Rovers side, again, had lost 3 of its first 4 games this season. I'm sorry, you cannot allow that team to hang around in the game. And Watford did that. They allowed a team to hang around, and voila, hey presto, they get the goal, and then Watford now have to try to make something happen. And Watford today were guilty of waiting to make something happen rather than actually doing so. Let me read the rest of your comments. Ryan on YouTube says, "Hello, Omar. It was an extremely disappointing performance. The players today did not seem to do much about it. Good thing I watched it at home instead of me going to the Vic." And I know, Ryan on YouTube, thank you for your comment. I know that you are a season ticket holder, and I know you have definitely complained about the rising prices of the season tickets as they did go up this season at Watford. But yeah, you made the right choice. And are you going to buy that kit, Ryan? Are you going to buy that blue shirt, Ryan? That's my question. Is any Watford fan going to buy that new Elton John blue shirt? I think the jury's out on that one after today. I think this might be the only game of the season that they wear that, and I don't blame them for retiring it after that. It was the fastest selling kit that Watford have ever put out, and it was the poorest performance I've ever seen in a kit of any kind this season from Watford. This is the first game this season that Watford have played in the Championship where they were genuinely poor. They lost the game against Charlton. They just didn't have enough energy against Charlton, but they weren't poor. They won the game against QPR deservedly. The game against Swansea, they were unlucky not to win. The game against Southampton, they showed good character and resiliency. In all those games I just mentioned, they played well enough. But this game today, this is the first Championship game of the season where they were genuinely poor, and not just in the one half, in both halves. We've had games this season, fellow Watford supporters, where the team's been good in one half, poor in another. We saw that against Norwich in the Carabao Cup. Terrible in the first half, much better in the second, still lost that game. We've seen that in games, but this is the first match of this new season where Watford were poor in both halves. Pezzolano in the second half tried to sub. Look, I thought the subs were good bringing them in as he did, like 10 minutes in after that goal was scored. For about 5 minutes, we showed signs of life. And then after that 5-minute burst of energy, we just disappeared again. It was as if those subs lit the candle. The flame flickered for 5 minutes, and then the flame extinguished itself. That was the story. 5 minutes in that second half, and after that, we didn't do a darn thing. No more shots, nothing at all. We got our first corner in this game in the 40th minute. By then, Blackburn had 5 corners. 5. Shows you that Blackburn absolutely deserved to win this game. This was a very poor performance from Watford. And don't tell me about changes. This is not about the fact that the manager had to make 5 changes. Listen, he was doing the players a favor that went on international break, like Iran Kunda, who traveled a gazillion miles to play 2 friendlies against New Zealand and then had to fly all the way back. He was doing them a favor. A banquet never got into this game, right? Bowler never got into the game. Bowler's played pretty much every minute of every match, as has a banquet, and both of them didn't play today. You didn't see anybody, like you didn't see Mendy come off the bench for us. That would be for Toast Menzie. He did not come in. So there were very, very few subs used. I think there were only the 2 subs. Vata came off. Forget who else came off. Dumbia came off. And then the 2 subs came on. Iran Kunda and the other sub. I don't forget who it was now. But the bottom line is that was it. And Watford did not have any life at all after the 5 minutes briefly where they showed a few signs second half. They didn't do a darn thing. And Blackburn, patient, wear them down. And what really ticked me off, and I'll read the rest of your comments on YouTube. Thank you for subscribing. And don't forget, everyone listening on X and those of you watching on YouTube right now at You ORNS WFC, please subscribe right now to YouOrns WFC, the number 1.substack.com, because if you do so, you will be automatically entered into the draw for a chance to win an Iran Kunda home shirt. So I will be giving that away, and I'll announce the winner on September the 27th, which is exactly 2 weeks from today. And if you subscribe now to YouOrns WFC1.substack.com, you will be entered into that drawing automatically, only giving away 1 shirt. Now, Watford were just poor. They were poor all over the pitch. You know, early on, Hector looked good, and early on, Elaine, I stress that, did decently. And then Petrus, I thought, was decent. But then after that, nobody stood out. Elaine then really was poor. Thank you for that, Matt. Kayembe was the second sub. Kayembe had signs of life at least. But Elaine got worse and worse as the game went on. Let's be fair. He was ineffective. It wasn't lively. None of them were. The tempo was really poor. Watford didn't move the ball quick enough today. Did not move the ball. Didn't take advantage of all the open spaces, by the way, that Blackburn gave us. We had a lot of open space in that first half, and we didn't exploit it. We didn't play the long ball that Pezzo loves us to play. We didn't spray the ball around the pitch. We were very pedestrian. Didn't string any long passes together. Didn't put the ball, no diagonals. Now, listen, Ngaki would have supplied some of that for you. Bowler would have supplied some of that for you. Neither of them were on the pitch. One of them is injured. The other one just didn't play. And the bottom line is this. Watford just weren't adventurous enough out there. Didn't have the passion. Didn't have the desire. Didn't have the hunger. Didn't have the spirit. Didn't have the aggressiveness that you need in these games. And, you know, all we were told before the game was that Watford were revved up, that Watford were up for it, that Sir Elton John energized them, and that they were going to go out there and give their all, and that they were pumped up today, and that the kit and the history of Watford was going to inspire them, and all the rest. That's all we heard. All we heard all week was that these lads were ready to roll. And then when we knew that Sir Elton was going to be in the building, all we heard was that the lads were ready to go. Absolutely not ready to go. Not ready for prime time. Not ready for any concert that Elton would do anytime soon. And again, it's a case of, I guess that's why they call it the Blues. We did not play well. And not only did we not play well, we didn't lay a glove on Blackburn. And we played poorly and deserved to lose. Our first home defeat in the championship this season. Very disappointing, because Watford really, with what they had been doing, previously 3 unbeaten in the championship, you would have thought that they would have come to play today. You would have thought so. They just didn't do anything. No signs of the kind of character and spirit that we saw in the previous game before the international break against Southampton, where we fought back twice from being a goal down, twice against a team that had just got relegated from the Prem. We absolutely fought and showed character, showed some bite, some spirit. We didn't have any of that today. I don't know what it was. Was it the blue kits? Was it Sir Elton in the stands and they suddenly didn't do anything? I don't think it's any of that. I know Vinnie Jones was in the building. the Watford-born Vinnie Jones, the Vinnie Jones that played for Wimbledon FC. Those of you of a certain age remember him. Vinnie Jones, the hard man of Wimbledon. I think Watford could have used him today, couldn't he? He was in the stands a few rows below Elton John in that box there above the Graham Taylor stand. I think we could have used some grit from Vinnie Jones. None of these Watford players put in a tackle today. What kind of tackling did they do? Luca didn't get into a tackle. None of them did. I didn't see any aggressiveness at all from this Watford side, behind the ball or in front of it. Too tame, too passive, too passive. Doumbia, put your foot through the ball, mate. Come on. Practically an open goal. That was the only chance that Watford really had. And what did Doumbia do? Slide way off to the left, tame shot, side foot it in, drive your foot through the ball, man. Hesitation. There was too much hesitation today. There were moments when we were on the break. We just delayed the pass an extra beat, an extra second or two. You allow the defense to recover as we did. And by the time you pass the ball or take a shot, you've got 4 Blackburn defenders in the box. And then your attack's over. End of the attack. I'm sorry, that's just poor from us. No excuses from me. They absolutely deserve to lose. Blackburn, 3 points. Congratulations to you. Valerian Ishmael, who was here, as I said, for just about barely almost a season, not quite. Got here in May of 2023. Was sacked in March of 2024. And look, happy homecoming for him. But let me read out the rest of your comments on YouTube. For those of you on X, please, we'll go for a few more minutes here on You ORNS Watford FC post-match. Thank you very much for the Watford supporters for listening, for being here in the building. Remember, please follow along on X at You ORNS WFC. And also, of course, on Substack, please subscribe there. I'll be doing some live videos coming up in the next few hours, so stick around for that later on. YouOrns, WFC1.substack.com. That is the place to go to subscribe, and I will put that in the X responses as well to this chat, this live today. And those of you on YouTube have pinned the link to Substack on the chat, as you can see it at the top there if you're watching on YouTube. And of course, remember that on September the 27th, 2 Saturdays from today, I will be announcing the winner of the Iran Kunda home shirt giveaway that I'll be doing. And remember, you can only have a chance to win if you subscribe on Substack. So YouOrns, WFC, the number 1.substack.com. For those of you who have subscribed already, thank you very much for doing so. I want to read out your comments on YouTube now because there are quite a few of them, as you would imagine. Watford, says Matt, Watford stats shows that how bad we were today. 14 shots and 1 on target with an XG, that's expected goals, rating of 0.75. Yeah, Matt, that's just dreadful. What an atrocious stat that is. Matt, thank you for supplying it. I do appreciate that, giving Watford supporters a real picture of just how poor we were today. Poor. Now, listen, our squad is good. Our squad is deep. But today we just didn't gel. And again, I'm going to hear people say, well, it was the changes. I'm going to hear people say, well, it was the international break. I'm going to hear people say, well, it was the kits we were wearing. Well, Sir Elton was in the building. I'm sorry. You're a professional football team. I don't care if you're playing in front of some icebergs and some polar bears. You have to get the job done, and you have to get it done when you are at home against the Blackburn side that had lost 3 of its first 4 games. There's no way around that. We had gone unbeaten, conversely, 3 straight. And I thought we were going to make it 4 straight unbeaten, but we didn't against a team that I think, fellow Watford supporters, we played down to the level of. Now, you and I have been following this club and have loved this football club long enough to know that there are many games where we play up or down to the level of our competition. It happens a lot. We've done it a lot over the years. And I thought today was one of them kind of days. We were up for Southampton, despite the fact we had to come from behind twice. But today we played down to the level of our competition. And how did we do that? by not putting ourselves about in this game. We did not put ourselves about at all. The lads did not put themselves about. Let's have it absolutely right. We didn't put ourselves about in this game. We totally were waiting for something to happen instead of making something happen. And the failure to make something happen was what allowed a team like Blackburn to grow in confidence. They must have thought, wait a minute, half an hour, 35 minutes, 40 minutes. Wow, they've not really laid a glove on us. Hang on a minute. We might be able to do something here. And they did. 2 minutes in second half, bang. Quite frankly, I was surprised that Pezzo didn't make changes at halftime because we were not good in the first half at all. And so I was expecting that Pezzo would make the changes at halftime. He didn't. I guess he wanted to. I'm not criticizing him here, even though I know there are some Watford fans who do not care for Pezzo or are not that impressed with him. I was expecting him to do something at halftime to change the sub, to make the subs. He didn't do that. He played things out for about 10 minutes into the second half. And of course, after that goal, 2 minutes into the second half, maybe about 5 minutes after that or less, whenever it was, 57th minute, 12 minutes in to the second half, he made the changes he made. So look, I'm not going to fault the subs. I know there were only 2 subs made today, and I'll get to your comments. But the bottom line is Watford just weren't good enough today. I'm going to read your comments out on YouTube. Thank you very much for making them. Continue to make them. And if you're on X, make a comment if you don't want to come on the line and speak to us. But if you do want to come on the line and speak to us, you've got the microphone there. So use it. Come on, Watford fans on X. Let's hear from you. Come on. Have your say on this grey day, a blue day. I guess that's why they call it the Blues. I really guess that they do. And Elton John. So Elton, not happy today, I'm sure, about this result. Well, who is of a Watford persuasion? Maybe the former Watford manager, Val Ishmael, is. But apart from him, I don't think anybody of a Watford persuasion is happy with this game or the performance. Let me read out more of what was said here on YouTube. I don't know what Pezzolano will do about it. And that's part of the comment that I forgot to read out from Ryan earlier. Ryan on YouTube says, what will Pezzolano do about it? I don't know. It's just one of those bad games. I don't know that the manager himself is going to do too much about it other than A, shake up the lineup, B, look at the training. They've got 9 days now between now and the next game. The game coming up next is at Millwall. That's going to be one that we will see how Watford doing away from home at the Den in South London on a Monday night under the lights, 8 p.m. kickoff, the 22nd of September. That is a Monday night, as I said. That will be a very interesting game now. Again, I'm not really looking at the table. What I look at in these first 10 games, as I've said a number of times, is the performances, because especially under a brand new manager, I know a lot of Watford fans probably look at the table. They're looking at where we are. I'm sorry, after 5 games, you can't be looking at a table. I don't care who's the. I know that I just saw at the corner of my eye, Middlesbrough got a draw today, and they're at the top. But I don't. Who cares about that? I don't know if you're Sheffield United. If you're a Sheffield United fan, you do care about your position in the table. I get it. But from a Watford perspective, as a Watford supporter, 5 games, I'm not looking at the table. What I'm looking at, especially under a new manager, is the performance. What we're doing on that pitch. Are we taking on the philosophy of Pezzo? Are we playing well together as a team? Do we have any cohesion? Well, the answer to all of them today are, well, we're not playing really. We don't have any of established vision yet, based on what was happening today, at least. We did not gel together. We weren't fluid and we weren't in rhythm either together as a team. Very disjointed. And I know that people are going to say, well, that's down to the 5 changes. When you've not played for 2 weeks together as a football team, I don't think it's the changes. I really don't. I really don't think that the team played well today at all. Now, again, we can all differ, but the bottom line is, I'm sorry, Blackburn Rovers had the 2 weeks off that we did, at least 2 weeks away from club football. I'm sure they were busy, and Watford were too. But they had 2 weeks off as well, and they were low on confidence. And you've got to pounce on a team that's low on confidence, a team feeling sorry for itself, a team that was missing 2 of its best midfielders, 1 to injury, I think both to injury. There was another player suspended. I mean, Blackburn Rovers were there to be had today. They were there to be had. and we just didn't cut the mustard. We just didn't cut the HP sauce. We just didn't do anything. The Branston pickle, we didn't do any of it. Bring out the Branston. We didn't do anything. No Branston pickle. We didn't have any spice, any sauce, anything. No HP sauce, nothing. We didn't get the job done. And that's what really, listen, I'm not happy about this. This is 3 points that we should have had. We should have had, I'm not saying based on the game we should have had it. I'm saying before kickoff. We should have applied ourselves in this game. You don't need to have Sir Elton John in the building to motivate you. And listen, I love Sir Elton John. I met the man years ago at the Vic, more than 40 years ago, which tells you that I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I met him many years ago, signed my autograph book. I'm going to write a story about that on Substack at some point, maybe in the next couple of days. Shame I didn't have my camera with me at the time. But I met the man. Listen, you've probably met Sir Elton John as well, some of you. But the bottom line is that you don't need, if you need the legendary, iconic Sir Elton John to motivate you, quite frankly, I think that's not a great sign about the stability of that team. Now, listen, I'm not denigrating Sir Elton John either. I'm simply saying that as a professional footballer, what do you have to do? You have to be professional. Put out a professional performance. And today, Watford, our lads, played like a bunch of amateurs. They're like a bunch of amateurs today. And let's be fair, that's the way it's called. That's the way I see it. They played like a bunch of amateurs. It's not good enough. Not good enough. Poor, poor, poor. From minute 1 to minute 96. Nobody can debate that. We were poor. If you are on YouTube, please hit the like button and please subscribe. I would truly appreciate that from you. Let me read out the rest of your comments because they are piling in on YouTube right now. Thank you for making them. Thank you for those of you on X, fellow Watford supporters, for listening. Do appreciate that. We will go to the bottom of the hour, and then I will say good evening as we get ready for the game against Millwall. We've got 9 days to do something there. I want to see a better performance than what we saw today, don't you? Oh, of course you do as a Watford supporter. We have got to come into Millwall fearless. I didn't see any fearlessness today. I saw a very tentative, hesitant Watford side waiting for something to happen rather than making something happen. And that's one of the chief reasons why we lost this game. Blackburn grew in confidence and then began to take the game on and take it by the scruff of its neck. They should have scored. They hit the crossbar in that first half. Selvik had no chance with that one. He was very lucky he hit the crossbar. And then the bottom line is that guy Morishita, who hit the crossbar in the first half, scored early in the second half, 2 minutes in, and Bob's your uncle. That's the game. Vinnie Jones was in that crowd, as I said, I think earlier. The Watford-born Vinnie Jones, former Wimbledon player who's now an actor in Los Angeles, living life out in this neck of the woods. Well, not here in San Francisco, but about 400 miles south of here, living a charmed life as a Hollywood actor now, and has for many years. He was also in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, if you remember that film from Guy Ritchie years ago. But look, I'm not here to talk about movies. We need to make a better movie today out of what we did, which was not much. Let me get to your comments. Let me get to your comments on YouTube. Thank you very much, Watford supporters. Again, we'll be here with you down to the bottom of this hour, which is another 5 or 6 minutes. So please stick around. Please subscribe to You ORNS WFC, the #1.substack.com. I will be giving away that Iran Gunda home jersey on September the 27th. I will be announcing the winner, and you will be able to be in that draw if you subscribe to You ORNS WFC, the #1.substack.com. The website is pinned to the chat. I'm going to put that now into the space response here on YouTube. By the way, let me read a comment from Hornet Chaz, who has responded. Charlie, Hornet Chaz, this was from about 27 minutes ago as I'm recording this. He says, sick of Watford on media gassing everything up. Then for that always happens. So embarrassing, pathetic club. That's Charlie, known as Hornet Chaz on X. Charlie, thank you for your comment. Listen, this is what social media is in terms of Watford Football Club, and then you get your social media response from Hornet Chaz. Obviously upset and understandably so. This is what they do, Charlie. You know that, and I know that. We all know that. Watford's media, the social media, the socials, they G you up. And listen, this is what they do. It's called PR, as you know, public relations, right? Get everybody jazzed up, G you up, gas you up, right? And you're all buzzing, you're getting ready, you're all up for it, and then they let you down on the pitch on match day. It happens. It happens a lot. Happens a lot, Hornet Chaz. I empathize with you, mate. It's frustrating because, listen, on the one hand, the Watford public relations do have to build up things. That's what they do. So I've got no complaint about the function. But what I have a more of a complaint with Hornet Chaz, and thank you again, Charlie, for your comment on X. But my complaint is that the players just didn't respond. You know, players didn't respond. The players were telling us all week long about how they were jazzed up and buzzed and gassed up, and they were all ready, and they were inspired by Elton John. They were making album covers. I mean, I loved it. I loved the fact that they did that. Tom Ince, who didn't play in the game today, by the way, maybe the photo shoot was too much. I'm not trying to make fun of it, Tom Ince. I think he's a good professional, right? But he did a great job at the album cover, Elton John's greatest hits. Sat there, and all the rest of them, they styled and profiled, tried to mimic the Elton John album covers, and then they didn't mimic the Elton John glory on the pitch. They didn't do their jobs, right? Just didn't. So, Hornet Chaz, thank you very much indeed. I do understand and I do appreciate the comment, and thank you for it. I completely understand what you're saying. It's a frustrating thing, especially when you lose these games, and especially when you see a very poor performance like this. It did not match what we were seeing on social media. They have absolute right, Watford FC social media, to do what it does. That's their function. That's what they're supposed to do. But it's the players who are supposed to rise to the occasion. I'm sorry they did not do that today for us. And I think they need to apologize to the fans. You know, just poor. I'm not here advocating that they pay the fans and refund them. No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. Right. I'm just saying that the fan base deserved a bit better than that today. The fan base was all ready to give this lot a hero's welcome. And so Elton, I don't know if he did anything at halftime or not. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. If you were at the Vic, let me know if that happened. But sadly, we did not move the needle today. And that's my lament. We just didn't move the needle. Let me read out your comments finally on YouTube, the rest of them. And I thank you for making your comments. Thank you so very much indeed for them. Here is Matt with his comment. It felt like they didn't even want to be there on the pitch. It almost looked like it was Championship versus Sunday League. Yeah, Matt, thank you for your comment. I think your assessment's spot on. I agree with you. We were Sunday League today, pub football. End of story. Charlie John, sick of Watford media gassing everything up. That might be our good friend Hornet Chaz, who is now on YouTube. Thank you for that again. Then doing that, so embarrassing, pathetic club. Yep, that is the same Hornet Chaz. Charlie, thank you very much for that. Charlie John on YouTube, Hornet Chaz on X. Thank you, Charlie. Again, repeating your comment from before as you did. Yeah, you know, again, it's just really poor from us. You know, it's kind of like Charlie, again, to just address your comment again, this time on YouTube. It's kind of like truth in advertising or falsity in advertising, right? It's like what I liken this, forgive me for the movie reference again, the movie Falling Down from about 30 years ago with Michael Douglas. And Michael Douglas plays this unhinged man who goes on a rampage. And he goes into a fast food restaurant, kind of like a McDonald's. And he points to the advertisement inside the location that has this really juicy hamburger. And then he orders what he sees on this photograph of the hamburger. And then what he gets is this squashed up hamburger. And he makes the comment that, you know, it's always the case. You know, you get this really plump, juicy burger that you see in an advertisement or in a picture. And then when you order it, you get this squished up thing like this. And it's kind of like Watford today, Charlie. You know, the social media, they gave you the glamour and the glitz. Again, I'm not hitting the social media at all. I've got no complaints about what Watford FC does with the social media. And then the product on the pitch does not meet what was advertised during the week. Kind of like what that hamburger is, right? At the fast food place. You get the nice advertisement on television. It's really enticing. It looks juicy and thick and rich. Nice hamburger. You go to the fast food place, and blimey, what is that? It's this squashed up, squished up thing that doesn't have any life to it. And that's what Watford were today. They had no life. They had no life to them today. None. Absolutely none. Matt, thank you for your comment. Charlie, thank you for yours. Brown Electrons. Doumbia is not a wide player. No, he's not. And you know what, Brown Electrons, and thank you for saying that. He played wide today again. Doumbia is best in the middle of the pitch. Luca didn't do a thing today. I'm sorry. I've not mentioned that about. I've been talking about players. Nobody did, but Luca was invisible today. And I know it's a tough life for a striker. It's a thankless task at times. But Luca did not make any impact on this pitch. Doumbia was making more impact, but he was on the left side of the pitch. And Doumbia had the chance to score. He didn't. And Doumbia made a nuisance of himself. But other than that, didn't make a lot of impact beyond that first half. And then he was subbed out second half. If Doumbia needed to be in the middle of that pitch, and the one moment that he was when he put the ball wide. Doumbia gives you electricity. He gives you harassment of the defense. But he didn't have any end product today. That's my issue with Doumbia. But at least he was on the pitch and you could hear from him. But I agree with you, Brown. Absolutely. Brown, I'm totally with you on YouTube there. Doumbia is not a wide player, and Pezzo needs to put him in the middle. Put him in the middle of the pitch. That's what you really need. And it didn't happen. But look, Pezzo said that he was going to mix and match, and he's true to his word because there's no way for me. And I know I've seen Doumbia play wide before, but he's never as good there as he is in the middle when he can really torment the heart of the central defense. And so thank you for that, Brown. Matt says Watford stat shows how bad we was today. 14 shots, 1 on target. I mentioned that. Ryan says, what about the system? The first system, 4-2-4, then halftime changed to a different system. Should have done a 5-4-2. Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that, Ryan. And I think he tried to change it when he brought Kayembe on, I believe. And they brought on, Aaron Kunda. But to me, nothing really worked today, Ryan. The manager was trying to see if something was going to work. It just didn't. It just didn't work. And I was disappointed. Not in the manager. I was just disappointed in the way the lads performed. Whatever system you had today, with the way Watford played, Ryan, it was never going to make any difference. It is never going to make any difference. And I think, sadly, the lads really blew an opportunity here today. You needed to come out with fire, and you need to come out with some real intent. And Watford did none of that. Didn't get off to a good start at all. They were very passive, very ineffectual, anemic. I was very disappointed with the way they showed up today. Didn't turn up. And then they allow Blackburn Rovers to take control of the game. Blackburn had so many more chances in front of our goal. They were busier, much the busier side, much the more composed side, much the more fluid side. They defended well. I thought they did some really good things. And the goalkeeper didn't have to make a save. Didn't have to do anything, really. Didn't really have to make but maybe one save, if any. So, look, I'm with you, Ryan, but I don't think any formation would have made any difference with this team today. The key thing for me, Ryan, is how a team comes out in these games and how they play. And at halftime, nothing was done. He made the changes 5-10 minutes later. Fine. I got no complaint about the subs and how he made them. Could he have made more subs? Yeah. But this lot just didn't respond. I mean, even after the 5 minutes of energy that the subs gave them, they just retreated to their shell. Just not good enough. Just not good enough. And I am just disappointed in the overall play today. I know that Bob was frustrated because he didn't really have a look in. And then there was a pass from Elaine. Elaine was awful as the game got on. He had a good first 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and then got worse and worse. And then played a pass to Barr. I don't know what he was trying to do. And Barr just got down on the turf and slammed the turf a million times. He was absolutely frustrated and upset about the poor pass. I just, it just kind of symbolized everything today for us. Our end product was poor. We had no fluidity. Our passing wasn't good in general. No orchestration. We kept losing the ball in midfield. Vatten lost the ball twice or three times in midfield. He got subbed off. Not the usual zip and spark from the lads. You know what I mean? It was just a very, very poor performance. The first one this season where we've been really poor. We'll have about 5 or 6 of these in the season. I hate to be, I don't want to be a doomsayer, but every team has about 5 games in a season where they just are not up to it, right? It happens in the championship. In 46 matches, you're going to have maybe 5 matches or so where the team just is not up to it, just not up to snuff. And this was the first one of those this season for us. I wish it hadn't been today. I wish it hadn't been on a day like this. I wish it hadn't been against a former Watford manager. And I also certainly wish it hadn't been in a game where we're wearing blue shirts, because you can best believe we are not wearing them shirts again this season. And in that case, I'm not going to bother buying one. And especially since we lost today in those shirts. Lovely kit, nice shirts, but we just didn't do anything in those shirts today, but wear them. That's what the Watford players did today. What they did is wear those shirts. That was the extent of the Watford performance today at the Vic against Blackburn, wearing those blue shirts, those Elton John designed blue shirts. And that was about it. If you wanted to do that, you could have just sat in the Rookery or sat in the Sir Elton John or sat in the Vicarage Road end and been a fan wearing the shirts, because it was a record-selling shirt, like Elton John's record-selling albums. But it was not a record-selling performance from our Golden Boys today. And I think that tells you the story, fellow Watford supporter. It just does. It just does. I mean, we just have to be better than that. It's not going to cut the mustard or the HP sauce or the Branston pickle or anything else. We just weren't good enough today. And Blackburn deserved the 3 points. I don't think anybody of a Watford supporter persuasion can have any complaint about the lack of energy, the lack of desire. I mean, about the result, rather. We can complain about the energy. We can complain about the lack of desire and the lack of heart, the lack of conviction, the lack of belief, the lack of urgency. I didn't see any urgency from us today. None. You know that when you have urgency in a game, where you see that, didn't have any of that. Nothing in the way of energy today or urgency today. And that's just the thing that I really lament. And you just blow a chance like that to actually put a dent on a team coming in here, low in confidence, low in energy, absolutely a team that were there to be had. But they were there to be had. Let's be fair. So unfortunately, that was that. And let me read the rest of your comments before leaving. I know I said the bottom of the hour. I've gone a little bit past that with a few rants and raves from yours truly. But I do want to thank you for continuing to watch. And again, please subscribe. You ORNS, WFC, the number one.substack.com. Would be glad to have you aboard there, because, of course, if you subscribe to You ORNS, WFC, the number one.substack.com, and I've just put that in the X response to the live here, and of course it's in the YouTube chat pinned to the top, you have a really good chance of winning the one Watford shirt I'm giving away in the giveaway, the Iran Kunda home shirt giveaway. So please, 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 if you want a chance to win that shirt, which I'll announce the winner of on September the 27th, you will need to subscribe to You ORNS WFC, the number one.substack.com. Lots of stories on there, more to come, and some videos to come in the coming hours as well. Let me read the rest of your comments and then we'll say goodbye. Thank you, Watford supporters, for your time. Philip Mason says Bowler had a niggle and couldn't play, ? Why else did Aline play at left back and doesn't have the attacking talents of Bowler? After 70 minutes, Pezzolano should have brought on some more attackers. Okay, so Philip Mason, thank you, Philip, for your comments, has some complaints about the subbing and when the subs should have happened. And I don't know if Bowler had any kind, I know you said that you presented that as a question mark. I don't know if Bowler had any kind of injury or anything. But the bottom line is that I know he was on international break, and like everyone else, and I think he might have been on international duty. But the bottom line is I think he probably wanted to rest those players. But as we always know, there are always players carrying something, and you want to fill out a team sheet, and you have to fill out a squad sheet for the match for match day. Bowler didn't come into the game at all, so obviously maybe there was something wrong with him. But like I always say, if you're well enough to be named to the bench, you're well enough to play. You're well enough to play. So, Bowler should have been on the pitch. And I know he's played nearly every minute of these games. And so maybe the manager saw something, didn't want to play him. Maybe he didn't do well in training. If he was training, if he wasn't on duty internationally, I thought he was. But if he wasn't, the manager has made it very clear if you don't perform in training, you're not going to play. And I mean, that's fair. And you incentivize competition in your squad if you run it like that. Instead of giving people expected spots, you don't just rock up here and expect to get into this team. With the depth of talent and squad ability that we've got, you have to absolutely earn your place, fight for your place, which makes things better. It's a more more egalitarian way of looking at it. It's a great approach. Should he have brought on some more attackers, Philip? You say so. Um, Maybe. But you know what, Philip, as I said before, I don't think much could have been done today. I think this was dictated by Watford's poor play in the game in the first half. And maybe he could have brought on some new attackers. But he obviously didn't bring them on. Maybe that is a mistake. I don't know. You could say that. And I wouldn't necessarily disagree, but they just didn't play well. When them first two subs came on, they had signs of life for about 5 minutes. The energy was picked up, and then it just died again. Like I said, the candle expired. That candle in the wind. Goodbye, Norma Jean. Though I never. And it seemed to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind. Well, Watford were a candle in the wind for those 5 minutes. They were a candle in the wind, and they got blown away and blown out. Now, listen, they didn't get blown off the pitch, but they got blown out. Then 5 minutes in that second half, the subs lit things up for a few minutes, barely, and then boom, extinguished. And it seems to me you live your life. Okay. Okay. You get the idea, right? It's Elton John. Candle in the wind. I hear you, Philip Mason. I do understand what you're saying. Listen, it's not a bad shout at all. Um, I just think that with what they had today, the whole energy of that team was off today, Philip. You know, and again, people can blame it on a number of things. I'm sure that if you scour social media and some of the analysis, you're going to see, well, it was 5 changes that he made. Well, it was the international break. Well, it was wearing those blue shirts. Well, blue kits. Well, it was wearing, it was Sir Elton in the stands. Well, it was none of that for me. It was, I don't care who you've got out there after an international break, because someone will say, well, it's the international break. Well, Blackburn were on the same international break. And then I just keep saying, they had to travel. We weren't the ones that had to travel to go to a football ground today. We had a short trip from the hotel or from London Colney to the ground, but we didn't have to really travel to Vicarage Road. It's our home. The traveling came from Blackburn. They had to come from Lancashire, whether they came from Lancashire overnight or whether they took a bus early this morning, whatever it is. And usually, I think these teams tend to travel down the night before, depending on, or maybe they flew in this morning, but the bottom line is they still had to make the extra trip. So I'm not having it that it's the international break. I'm not having any of that. In fact, if anything, you make a case that they had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. Many of the players, some of them did. 2 weeks. Half the team were here training and practicing. Didn't we see that on social media? So, and some of them players played. So, I'm not having that. I'm not having any of that. But Philip, I understand what you're saying. I can see what you're saying. But sometimes, though, subs or no subs, sometimes the players just aren't dialed in. And Philip, to me, he could have made 18 more subs today. And I don't think it would have made a whole lot of difference to this particular performance. If you look at that team, Philip, and again, half the players who played the game against Southampton were playing this game. Half of them. At least half the game, the players who started. And then the players who didn't start played the game against Southampton. Aaron Kunda played that game. Vata played that game. The two subs that he used. So, sometimes even the manager, and I understand what you're saying, Philip, because you want to see the manager go for it by trying something different. But sometimes you can change a formation, as you know. Sometimes you can change a personnel, and sometimes it just don't work. Sometimes it just doesn't work, and maybe Pezzo saw something today and just whatever. I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses for him. I do admittedly think that he's done a decent job so far. I know it's early, and some fans will profoundly disagree with that. Oh no, Pezzo ain't done anything, whatever. I didn't hear those Tom Cleverley chants today, so I'm happy about that because Clevs is no longer with us. He's at Plymouth, and as much as I didn't want him to leave, he's no longer at the club. Stop cheering, stop chanting for Tom Cleverley. He's not coming back here anytime soon. And I don't think Tom Cleverley would have been able to do very much better than what Pezzo did today with this performance that we had, with this level of performance. How much more would Tom have got out of this lot today? How much more? He might have made another sub, but I don't care who you put on the pitch. You could have put Luther on the pitch. You could have put Ross Jenkins on the pitch today. With this lot, I don't think you would have got anything. You could have got Vinnie Jones, the Watford-born Vinnie Jones, to come out of the Graham Taylor stand in the boxes there and get on and put on a Watford kit, the blue kit. I don't think it would have made. And Wimbledon, of course, used to wear. I think they used to wear blue kit, didn't they? Wimbledon, that was their home kit. He would have looked right at home. He didn't ever play for Watford. He played for Wimbledon, best as I remember. I remember his days at Wimbledon many years ago. I think he would have done it. He would have. I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't have made much of a difference. But look, Philip, I know I talked about this for a bit, but thank you for that. Excuse me. I know I've gone way over time. Still got a few more minutes here. I'll take it to the top of the hour. What the hell? What the hell? Why not? Why not? Why not? I want to thank you for continuing to listen. Please like and subscribe to You ORNS Watford FC post match. Really, really looking forward to you subscribing also to You ORNS WFC, the number one .substack.com. Now, let me read the rest of your comments out here. Ryan says Watford can use 5 and not 2. Years ago, it used to be only 3 subs. Ryan, that's correct. I'll tell you what, Ryan, years and years ago, before that, it used to be only 1 sub. I am old enough to remember where in the Football League, you could only use 1 substitution for the entire game. I kid you not. I am old enough to remember going to matches, watching them on television, going to Watford matches where there was only 1 substitution that you were able to use for the entire game. I kid you not, Ryan. I suspect that I'm quite a bit older than you are. I don't know, but I suspect that I am, Ryan. And you should go back to the days, I'm sure they're on YouTube, games where you can watch. There probably are some where you will see that that they could only have a maximum of 1 substitution. Pezzo did 1 better than that today with 2. But this phenomenon of 3 subs is not that old. That began maybe 25 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that ago. Not that long ago, about 30 years ago, maybe 35. I don't know. I don't remember exactly when it changed. But Ryan, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I hear you. I mean, maybe the head coach was trying to go back to the old days, but we just weren't good enough. Again, I know I sound like a broken record, Ryan, but we just didn't get the job done, and we weren't good enough in this contest today. And that's the reason for me why we got the result we got. Blackburn were much, much better than us, and we allowed Blackburn, before they scored their goal, to hang around and hang around and hang around. We didn't bring the match to Blackburn. We didn't take the game to them. And Blackburn must have thought, hang on a minute. Like I said earlier, hang on, you know, they've not done anything to us. And so they took their cue from that and they grew in confidence and then they started to put themselves about. And from pretty much the start of the game, Blackburn were the more aggressive team. Um, After the first 10 minutes, they were, and they should have scored early on in this first half. Then they scored early on in the second half. So look, they did what they had to do: come in here, play the away players on the away side who looked very comfortable, and take 3 points. Thank you very much. Back to Lancashire. That's what happened today. Matt says Kayembe was the second sub, and I mentioned that before. And Matt, thank you. I know you sent that comment in a while ago. Ryan said, how much was the blue shirt? I won't buy one, as I've got our home shirt from last season. Ryan, if you're still watching or listening to this, or if you watch it back, the home shirt today, the blue shirt, the Elton John designed blue shirt that the lads wore today is £76. And Matt has told Ryan that. £76. I mentioned this, by the way, in the You ORNS pre-match. £76. So if you are in the United Kingdom, that's what you're going to be spending, plus VAT, I'm sure, I think, on the top of that. I think. But here in the United States, if you are spending $106, 106 American dollars, plus with all the tariffs and the customs stuff, believe me, you're spending almost another shirt price to add on top of the full shirt price because of all these ridiculously stupid tariffs and, of course, the customs charge you get anyway. You're now spending literally another 60 American dollars. That's more than half the price of the shirt that you're already spending money on. So that's a lot of money for the average person. And if you've got a family of 4 or 5, as I said in the pre-match, you're spending close to a fortune on Watford shirts if you're in the UK. And goodness knows, if you are overseas, you're spending a lot more than that. And especially if you're in the United States, you're spending a lot more than that. And in other countries as well, you're spending an arm and a leg. Forgive me for the visuals, but you're spending a lot of money on a blue shirt if you really, really want one. And, at this rate, I'd rather fly to the UK and get the shirt than bother spending the money, plus the customs, plus the tariff charge that I have to spend. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. So look, Ryan, your empathy, I have your empathy. I have empathy for you. I don't see myself buying one. If they had won this game, I might have changed my tune on that, even with all the extra costs. But there's no chance now. As much as I do like the shirt, no, and apparently it's a one-time only wear. So it's not something they're going to be wearing several times during the season at the Vic. It's going to be just that one time apparently. And I'll get confirmation of that. It looks like that's going to be the only time they wear it. So, if you're wearing a one-time only shirt, is it worth it? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Now, look, we've seen this all the time with these extra kits, these third kits, and then they only wear them twice or 3 times in a season. That's a waste of money for me. It's a waste of money. I listen, and I'll get to all these comments. I want to get to. Actually, let me just read these other comments before I get to Brown. Ryan says, I think the players just couldn't get any rhythm whatsoever today. Yeah, I agree, Ryan. As I alluded to earlier, no continuity, no rhythm, no cohesion, no fluidity, all basically the same kind of thing as saying what you've just said now, which is the players lacked rhythm. They couldn't get in sync at all. And I'm not talking about the pop group. I'm talking about they just couldn't get in sync. They were out of sorts. And again, I'm going to hear people say that it's the 5 changes. I'm going to hear them say all kinds of things. I don't care how many players you change, at least after an international break. And I know sometimes having multiple changes makes a difference, but I don't think that was the case today. I don't think that is all the reason why these lads played poorly, right? I just think the lads just weren't on the same page to begin with. They came out very tepid, very poor. And I'm sorry, there was enough about the place today where you should have been galvanized. And like I said earlier, if you need Sir Elton John to get you going, that's not a good sign. And that's no disrespect to Sir Elton John. I love the man. I met the man. He's done so much for this club. He set the standards in the 1970s, and old enough to remember all of that. And the bottom line is that I'm sorry. If Elton's there or not, you have got to put in a shift, put in a performance. And these guys were non-existent today. Couldn't put passes together. Didn't move the ball fast enough. Were absolutely all over the shop. Very disappointing. Very poor. The first game this season where Watford have been poor all around and both halves, not one but two, and never really got going in this game at all. They were waiting for things to happen, and Blackburn were the ones that made things happen. And if Watford had made things happen, this match might have been different. But when you wait for something to happen in a football match, the chances are that it will happen, and it will be the opposition who actually makes it happen. And you'll be sitting there watching it happen. And that's what happened to Watford today. They were spectators for large amounts of this game in both halves. Ryan said again, there's no rhythm. He thanked Matt for the $76 a pound price. The team was definitely no rocket man, said Matt. Yep, that's so true. They just did not have liftoff today, did they? Matt, thanks for the comment. All these comments were made a few minutes ago, but thank you. I just getting to them now. Ryan says, I'm only 20 years old and I've been supporting Watford FC since I was 8. Since I was young, I followed them. Watford FC, the team for me. Oh, good job, Ryan. All right. Well, I thought that you might have been a bit younger. But the point is, I appreciate that you support this club. I thank everyone for supporting this club. I'm glad I support this club, and I'm thankful to support this club. It's a great club. It's a great football club. It's been a great football club forever, and it always will be. There are things that get done around the place that I am not necessarily in agreement with at times, sometimes, but this is a really good club, and we are the ones that make up this club, the staff, the backroom staff, the people who work in the trenches, the people who work in concessions, the people who work behind the scenes everywhere, who don't get the credit and the spotlight. They're the ones that make the club work, and the fans are the ones that make this club go. And football clubs are nothing without the fans. So, look, Ryan, I hear you 100%, and it's great to know that you are one of the younger Watford supporters who are getting behind this team. And no matter what, even on days like today where we do not play well. So there you go. Brown Electron says, how long is it on sale for? I might pick it up around Christmas time. I think it'll be on sale for quite some time, Brown. That's my response. I don't know exactly how long it's on sale for, but I would imagine it's around for at least a few more months. And it may well be around till Christmas time. May well be. It might be around for a lot longer than that. It might be around all season long. I don't know what the club's going to do around that. It's a good point. The Hornet shop would obviously know, but I think it's probably going to be around to at least Christmas time. And I'm sure they'll be doing a step into Christmas sale, if you will, on the Elton John shirt. Those of you who know Elton John's songs know about that reference that I just made. So, Brown, that's my answer for you there. Ryan says it felt like the players were still on holiday in Barbados on some bed sleeping. Yeah, exactly. Barbados, absolutely. One of the great places in the world is Barbados, and you have to go there, as I have on a number of occasions. And yeah, I think that the players were in Barbados. I think that's a very good point, Ryan. They should have made the return trip to Hertfordshire, but they did not. I think in some cases, I don't want to say they're on the beach because that's a little bit rough. I don't think it was quite like that, but they were just poor. They were poor. I mean, there is a difference, I think, sometimes, Ryan, between being poor and being on the beach. Today, I don't think Watford were on the beach so much. They were just poor. They were shocking. And maybe some people will say, well, they're on the beach, but I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way. They just were shocking today. They really were. For a team that has a deep squad, and I know that Pezzo didn't use that much of a squad today. Didn't use them much. For a team that was supposedly raring to go, they were very, very underwhelming. It's like a commercial or a trailer for a movie, right? A preview for a movie that you see in the theater, and you go, wow, that preview looks really good. right? I talked about this earlier, but truth in advertising. And you go and see the movie because you were so enamored by the trailer or the preview that you saw for the movie. And then when you go to the actual movie, you watch it, you think, what is this? This is terrible. That has happened a lot, by the way, at least to me, maybe to you as well. And that's what it is. Advertising. It's about selling product. And it's not about how good a movie is or how good a Watford performance is. It's about that product over there that they're playing on Saturday against Blackburn. I want that product. Well, you got the product, but you didn't get the product from the players wearing the product that you got. So that explains that. Ryan says you can't forget the Watford FC tickets office staff. They also deserve credit. Yes, thank you for the reminder. And I said everyone, and I was thinking about everyone, but I did not single out the Watford FC ticket office staff. Thank you, Ryan. The Watford FC ticket staff are very good as well. I've dealt with them over many years when I've come to Vicarage Road. They have been very, very good. I'm very pleased with the professionalism. They do their jobs. They work very hard there. You go down to the ground there. You go down toward the Rookery end is where the ticket office is, right near the back of the Rookery, or around that side of the Rookery at the back. And they're really good, nice people, and they're absolutely brilliant. So yes, Ryan, thank you for the reminder on that. And they do deserve a lot of credit. That staff is absolutely top notch, and I appreciate what they do. So thank you for that, Ryan. And thank you to the Watford FC ticket office staff. You do a fantastic job every day, week in and week out, season in and season out. And thank you very much for doing that and for really serving Watford supporters very well. And also, for the away supporters that come as well. Those allocations, they sometimes help with that too, I'm sure. But in any event, great job by the Watford FC ticket office staff. Well done to you. And also, of course, to all the other folks, the people who do the work on the pitch. Of course, Scott Tingley, all of those folks, his whole team. Scott's team is brilliant. They do an excellent job on that pitch every day, every week. They do a fantastic job. And so Scott, who leads that team with the pitch, the fertilizer, all the things that they do to get the pitch right, to get it playable. They get numerous awards because they're so good. Scott does a fantastic job with the pitch, the playing surface, and his whole team as well. So I want to just say that as well. And then Brown says, what did you think of Pollock today? First game back. That's a good question. I thought Pollock was okay today. He didn't stand out for me. It was good to see him on the pitch again, Brown. I was not enamored with Pollock per se. I didn't think his play was, gangbusters. I don't think he did himself too much harm. I don't think he was quite as aggressive as I've normally seen him. I know he did get plonked and planked a couple of times in the box by Blackburn players in the physicality game, but and had I think he had a head injury or a knock on his head, but he got up and played the game, and he didn't do any harm. I just didn't think that he made a real mark on the game per se. First game back, hadn't played in over a month. Remember, he got injured in late July, right at the end of the month of July, in that friendly against Deportivo La Coruña at the Vic, when he had come off, I think, in the first half with a hamstring injury. He made it back on the bench 2 weeks ago against Southampton, did not play in that game, and today was his first game back this season in the championship. And so I thought it was all right, Brown. Nothing noteworthy. What did you think? I'm curious as to what you or any other Watford supporter thought. I thought he was all right today. I don't think that he was gangbusters. I don't think that he was particularly a standout. I thought the first half of Kevin, for example, I thought he was good in the first half. But again, people will look to Kevin and say, well, the goal that was scored was down to him. I don't know. I don't know that it was. Blackburn just cut through our defense like a hot knife through butter, if you will. And I just don't think that Watford did enough overall. Maybe they should have had another backup, a backup behind Kevin there. He didn't have any cover behind him. So, there should have been a Watford defender at that near post or somehow tracking the runner. And then Kevin stuck out his foot, I think, to try to stop or make a block. And then I think the Blackburn player kept dribbling through. I think it was Morishita, who scored the goal, and then he blasted the ball right through. It was a really well worked goal, I thought. But I think the defense could have done better. I think Kevin had a decent game, but not good enough. Nobody was really outstanding in the game at all. Brown says, yeah, just average, needs match fitness, says Brown about Pollock. And then Brown continues, the Japanese player made him look a little silly a couple of times. Yeah, he did. That's Morishita you're talking about, who I've just been talking about, Brown, as you can hear. Morishita did a good job. I mean, he had a go at Kevin. He had a go at Matty Pollock. Then there was another Japanese player who got clattered into a million times, who I'm sure I'm sure he must have played English football before, but if he didn't, he got a real taste of English football today, I can tell you. But Morishita was their player of the game for Blackburn. He played well. Cantwell was a pain in the neck. His corners were good. I think Blackburn ended up having like 7 or 8 corners to our 1 or 2 max. And the bottom line is that we just did not play well. We just didn't play well. Brown says, reminds me of Georgie. Man, we so need him back, says Brown. Yeah, we do. We do. And I've been questioning whether or not, Brown, I've been really, really questioning whether or not George is going to leave or not. I don't think he's going to. I don't know, for some weird reason, I still have this bad feeling that he will. But it's obvious that he's not going to go anywhere. I think I've come to that conclusion now. He's got this injury. It's been a long-term injury, as you all know, Brown, and we all know. And I'm going to say goodbye to those of you on X. Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to continue on YouTube for another 5 minutes or so. I want to say thank you to those of you who've been listening on X. Thank you so very much. We'll continue on YouTube now for a few short minutes. Please don't forget on X to subscribe to You ORNS WFC, the number one.substack.com. I have put that in the replies to this particular live on X to have a chance to win the Iran Kunda home jersey I'm giving away on September the 27th. That will be the day I announce the winner in the random drawing from the hat of subscribers on You ORNS on Substack. That's You ORNS WFC, the number one.substack.com. So thank you to those of you on X. Take care, and until Monday, the 22nd of September against Millwall on X. Thank you for you on X. Take care now. So we continue on YouTube for a few more minutes, and thank you to all of you continuing to watch here on YouTube. Thank you, Omar, here on You ORNS Watford FC post-match. The final score today was Watford 0, Blackburn Rovers 1, our first defeat at the Vic this season in the Championship, ending our 3-match unbeaten run. That match today was just a really poor showing from us. Sir Elton John in the building would not have been pleased. None of us were pleased from a Watford perspective, as Watford fans, obviously, about the way Watford went about this game. And for me, as I've said, the thing we look at now are the performances. Watford's performances in the early going under a brand new manager is what I keep my eye on much more than I do the table. When we start to get to the 10th game of the season, the 11th game of the season, where the table begins to take shape, is when I then start to look at the table and the points. At the moment, I'm not looking at the points or the table. Too early, small sample size, 5 games, still too small, right? What I'm looking at now, and what I've been looking at these opening games, is how we perform under this new manager, taking time to get the ideas to gel, the formations, the play. New players, you have to get time to be used to playing on the pitch together. And, again, it's going to take some time. But this was just disappointing today. It was really poor, as we all know. And Brown Electrons, I want to continue talking about Georgie. That injury, as I was saying a few moments ago, is a quite significant one. It's a troublesome one. It's a stress fracture in his toe. And those things are going to be very, very tricky because, of course, you're using your toes when you're playing football. You're bending, you're twisting, you're putting pressure on those joints, especially on the toes. The shoes that you're wearing, the football boots you're wearing. He's going to probably have some specially fitted boots at some point when he does get to play again. But it's a very, very troublesome injury. He's had this injury for months. I think since late March, early August. Excuse me, late March, early August, late March, early April is what the month I'm looking for. Late March, early April of 2025. So that's now been about 4 or 5 or 6 months. Now, he did not play any more football from April onwards, really. And of course, with the time off between seasons and all the rest, he's not played at all. He's been training, he's been rehabbing, training. There's been, ups and downs. He's had scans. This is something that could be a longer term problem. And I hate to say that, but I just have to be really honest. It's a really, really poor, tough situation because I don't know that Georgie's going to be on the pitch before the end of next month. I don't know. I'm not in the dressing room. I'm not the physio. I'm not the doctor. I'm not a doctor. So I'm not a medical doctor. I would have no idea. But just by the way that this is being managed and how the stories are coming out and what for social media, I just get the feeling that this could be a situation where we don't see Georgie for at least another 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, it could be longer, it could be shorter. Now, I really hope that it's a shorter um, time than that. But a toe fracture, a stress fracture in a toe for a football player, that's a very troublesome thing. And if he's been out with this injury for really what 5.5 months, nearly six, let's say 5 months, that's you have to be very careful with them kind of injuries. And I hope he comes back on the pitch soon. But I think for any Watford supporter watching this now, don't put all your eggs in one basket about Georgie and him returning in a couple of weeks, for example, because that I don't think is likely to happen. I think it's more likely that you probably see him in October. And again, this is a completely uneducated guess. I do not know what is going on inside the Watford physiotherapy unit. I don't know what's going on with his progress. We're being told that he's making progress, that he's made progress, and he's training and all the rest of it. And he's trained with the team and he's done this, he's done that. But this kind of an injury, again, when you're dealing with bones in your feet and in your toes and stress fractures, they're going to have to really take him slowly on board here. That's my view. And you're going to probably end up playing him in some under 21 matches at some point, you know, and then you're going to have to start talking about fitness and match fitness and conditioning and training, more and more intense levels of training. And then you're going to have to talk about match fitness for the championship. I mean, I just think it's going to be a lot longer than some of us might think. I hope I'm wrong. Um, but we'll see with Georgie. I do wish him a speedy return. Yeah, we did miss someone like Georgie today, I suppose. But like you say, he seemed, Georgie says, he seemed, excuse me, Brown says, Georgie seemed like a luxury player at the time. But now that he's gone, but now, but now that he's gone and Loser, they're exactly what we need. Um, we could have used Loser today. I don't think the midfield had enough imagination about it. I thought Sissoko had some good moments in the game, but not consistent enough for me. I think we needed a bit more spine in that midfield. The manager did not bring Mendy in. Fortos Mendy. Mendy is not a midfielder anyway, but the other Mendy is. But he's still injured. He's still coming back, so that wouldn't have worked, obviously. But we did not bring in anyone else. And Loser would have been that anyone else. And Georgie would have been that anyone else to try to run that midfield and be orchestrators and be galvanizers and drivers. We lack that drive. I think that's an issue, but we just lacked the performance today. I mean, that's really the ultimate issue for me. And bottom line is we just didn't do enough. didn't do enough to win the game. So, Brown, I hear what you're saying. Let's hope that Georgie comes back sooner than I think he'll come back. And I'm looking forward to seeing Imran Louza back on the pitch, who now is at 100 appearances for Watford. Hard to believe that he's not played longer than that, more appearances than that for Watford, hasn't made more than 100 appearances he could have had he not been suspended for those 3 games after all that happened against QPR. But he'll be back for the game against Millwall on Monday, September the 22nd, 2025 at the Den. And so today was not a game that Watford fans will want to remember and will quickly forget. And so will the Watford players. And so will Sir Elton John, who I think flew in from Los Angeles or wherever. He's got numerous locales across the world that he calls home. One of them is Los Angeles. And he wouldn't have been happy with what he saw today. And nor was I, and nor were you either, as us, we as fellow Watford supporters. Very, very disappointing performance today. Very poor from Watford. The first poor performance of the season in both halves over all around. So there we go. We'll see how things go 9 days from now. 9 days before we next play. Well, there'll be a lot of corrections and things to do and to make. We'll have some more players back healthy. Hopefully, Pierre Duoma might be able to help us out in midfield by the time we play that game on the 22nd at the Den in South London. But from me, Omar, I say thank you very much indeed for watching. Please subscribe once again. A reminder to subscribe to You ORNS on Substack, You ORNS WFC, the number 1.substack.com. Subscribe to this channel and please like and subscribe and like the videos, including this one. Thank you for doing that. Spread the message about this channel at You ORNS WFC on YouTube as well. The final score from the Vic today in front of Sir Elton John and those blue kits that the lads were wearing. Watford 0, Blackburn Rovers 1. A happy homecoming then for the ex-Watford boss, Valérien Ismaël, who, as Blackburn manager, must have really enjoyed his day today. I'll take you now to really a little bit of singing from me. Actually, no, I won't. I'm going to save that for a Substack video. So even more reason to subscribe to Substack, where you have, or maybe not, to have a chance to win that Iran Kunda home jersey I'm giving away on September the 27th. So please make sure you subscribe to You ORNS, the number one, You ORNS WFC, the number 1.substack.com before September 27th, because that's the day I announce the winner. And only subscribers to the Substack, which you see the link pinned to in the chat, only you, if you're subscribing on Substack, have a chance to win that jersey, that Irakunda home jersey. Thank you very much indeed for your time. And Brown Electrons, thank you, as he says, for the continued coverage. Bring on Millwall. Come on, You ORNS. That's the spirit, Brown. We'll be back, and we will go again in 9 days' time. Take care, everyone. My name is Omar. And until then, you